culture of life.
Porn destroys. Part 2 in the series on pornography. Babu John lists the ways in which it affects an individual in person and in society at large.
Babu John is the director of TOB for Life and a speaker on theology of the body.
Pornography is a social evil, and we don't hear many people talking about it. Pornography is much more common than we think it is. It's everywhere, and many times it pops up when you least expect it. The majority of porn lovers think that pornography is easy, accessible, impersonal, and safe because there's no vulnerability, love, or fear of getting hurt. According to India Today, April 11, 2020, Indians seem to be leading the world in porn consumption, reporting a 95% spike in traffic to adult sites during the 3-week lockdown. It's interesting to note that porn has more destructive power than the present COVID-19 virus. The porn pandemic is running wild and destroying the lives of both men and women along with family, marriage, and society. Let's examine some of the ways porn destroys. The drug effect. Many scientific studies have found that pornography harms and rewires the brain almost the same way as drug addiction. Those who watch porn fall deeper into the mental habit of fixating on pornographic images as the exposure to them creates neural pathways and modifies how the brain registers pleasure. Desensitize. Porn makes real sex and even the real world boring in comparison. It particularly anesthetizes the emotional life of a man. Porn leaves men desensitized to both outrages and excitement, leading to an overall diminishment of feeling and eventually to the dissatisfaction with the emotional tugs of everyday life. Eventually, they are left with a confusing mix of supersized expectations about sex and numbed emotions about women. When a man gets bored with pornography, both his fantasy and real world become imbued with indifference, and the real world often gets boring. Pornography viewing leads to a loss of interest in good family relations. Porn corrupts the ability to be intimate and thus can destroy marriage and marital relationships, thereby directly attacking the family. It's a pathway to infidelity, broken families, and divorce, and is frequently a major factor in these family disasters. When viewing pornography becomes an addiction, 40% of these sex addicts lose their spouses, 58% suffer considerable financial losses, and about a third lose their jobs. Escalates. Once you start watching porn, it will always compel you for more and force you to indulge to commit acts of sexual aggression. Dangerously, pornography strongly affects psychotic men who are likely to act out their impulses. In some cases, the abuser would have watched pornography before abusing the woman, or he would have used pornography while committing the abuse. And in yet other cases, he would have forced his victim to participate in the making of a pornographic film. Pornography significantly distorts attitudes and perceptions about the nature of sexual intercourse. Men who habitually watch pornography have a higher tolerance for abnormal sexual misbehaviors, sexual aggression, promiscuity, and even rape. Pornography has changed content to the extreme. In 2010, the journal Violence Against Women reported physical aggression in 88.2% of leading pornography scenes and verbal aggression in 48.7%, with 94.4% of the aggression directed towards women and girls. A February 2018 headline in Esquire magazine read, "Incest is the fastest growing trend in porn." Many of the sex-based crimes are pointing fingers towards pornographic addiction. template. Porn creates a template on the brain. It sneaks up on you before you know it. It pops up in the mind like a computer. The porn addicts will begin to view women and even children as sex objects, commodities or instruments for their pleasure, not as people with their inherent dignity. At a certain stage, they cannot even look at their sisters or mother without all the templates and images which are recorded in their brain, subconscious and unconscious mind. This is a horrible and devastating consequence of porn addiction. Replaces reality. Porn lovers live in a world of fantasy. They create an emotional bond with the artificial virtual world. Those are most likely to fail in their marital relationship and other interpersonal relationships at home or workplace or society. Those who perceive pornographic sexual scenes as depicting reality tend to be more accepting of sexual permissiveness than others. Author and speaker Matt Fradd says they will develop a novelty-seeking behavior, constantly clicking, greedily keeping multiple tabs open, always looking for the next girls, the next sexual buzz. Objectifies women. Men objectifying women, looking at their bodies and evaluating them as potential sexual partners, has become a reflexive rampant. It is a consequence of their habitual use of pornography and preoccupation with their sexual fantasies. Porn watchers are not interested in relationship or intimacy to know the other. They just want to use the other person for their gratification. According to St. John Paul II, the opposite of love is to use another person for our gratification. If we do not seriously work against pornography, all sex will come to be interpreted as porn, and for a man, all women as porn stars. Pornography shapes and rewires us in such a way that we become unable to see a woman or man as we should. Youth are affected primarily. The younger it strikes, the harder it becomes to overcome. Dr. Sharon Cooper, a forensic pediatrician and faculty member at the University of North Carolina School of Medicine, mentions that imagery affects children and that children receive unhealthy sexual images from adult pornography. According to Dr. Cooper, pornography normalizes sexual harm by portraying a lack of emotional relationship between consensual partners, unprotected sexual contact, and in some instances, violence and rape. Dr. Cooper argues that children and youth are more vulnerable to pornographic images than adults because of mirror neurons in the brain which convince people that they are experiencing what they see. Mirror neurons play an important role in how children learn. Children learn in large part by imitation, with mirror neurons involved in the process of observing what other people do and imitating those behaviors. Pornography may have stronger effects among children and youth than other forms of media because it shows a much higher degree of sexual explicitness. Young people imitate what they see in porn, and when teens learn about sexuality from porn, they are in danger of adopting the misleading, harmful biases embedded there. Many teenagers never have the opportunity to learn what a healthy relationship is before porn starts teaching them its version, which is typically filled with domination, infidelity, abuse, and violence. Secret. Porn watchers justify it, saying that it doesn't harm anyone. They think that as it is within the secrecy of their virtual walls, no one else is involved in it. It's no secret that much of porn is violent, but many people don't understand the extent to which porn's underlying messages influences behavior. Porn is full of people, particularly women, being disrespected, coerced, and physically and verbally abused, which is shaping how society thinks and acts. It can destroy families, cause loss of jobs, reputation, and self-esteem, which can lead to criminal behavior and is a major threat to marriages once the secret is out. Pornography's victims aren't just men. Women can and do observe and use porn, but are more often the subjects of performers in explicit videos, pictures, or live dances. While some women work in the industry for the money, others are coerced into the sex trade due to addiction to drugs, a desperate act of survival, or a misplaced feeling or lack of love. Sometimes the woman is forced to watch porn with her boyfriend or husband. However, it is a fact that women too watch pornography of their own accord, and some of them are addicted to it. Whether we are talking about lust, pornography, or any other sexual sins, let's remember that God created mankind in His image. In the image of God, He created them, male and female. He created them. Genesis 1 verses 27. God gave us a male body or a female body so that we can reflect Christ. As children of God, we are called to be holy and blameless before God. Sexual sins like pornography or masturbation take a beautiful and very sacred gift and profane it. Society doesn't overvalue sex, it undervalues and cheapens it. Pornography is a counterfeit to the real truth about sexuality.